the shadows grow. Truth in the dark, we let it show. Step inside, let the live stream roll. Welcome to the show, it's Mo and Co. Mo and Co, where the shadows grow. Truth in the dark, we let it show. Step inside, let the live stream roll. Welcome to the show, it's Mo and Co. Late night vibes, the case unfolds. Stories hidden, mysteries cold. Every detail, every clue we find. Digging through the silence, leaving none behind. We shine a light where the dark won't go. Justice speaks loud when the truth takes hold. From the crime scene whispers to the echoes untold. We bring it all to life, it's Mo and Co. Mo and Co, where the shadows grow. Truth in the dark, we let it show. Step inside, let the live stream roll. Welcome to the show, it's Mo and Co. Mo and Co, where the shadows grow. Truth in the dark, we let it show. Step inside, let the live stream roll. Welcome to the show, it's Mo and Co. Late night vibes, the case unfolds. Stories hidden, mysteries cold. Every detail, every clue we find. Digging through the silence, leaving none behind. We shine a light where the dark won't go. Justice speaks loud when the truth takes hold. From the crime scene whispers to the echoes untold. We bring it all to life, it's Mo and Co. Mo and Co, where the shadows grow. Truth in the dark, we let it show. Step inside, let the live stream roll. Welcome to the show, it's Mo and Co. Mo and Co, where the shadows grow. Truth in the dark, we let it show. Step inside, let the live stream roll.
Hey guys, how are we today? Happy Halloween to those who celebrate, and happy Friday to everybody else. I'm so glad to see you guys. I know that I was already here once this week, but with today being the last day of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, there is one more case that I would like to speak to you guys about. And it'll make you mad, and sometimes we have to get mad to initiate change, right? Um, I'm going to drop a link to the other live that I did this month. It was about the hand sign, the TikTok hand sign, and how that you can recognize it and you can also use it if you need help too. Hey, Nature Rocks, how are you? I'm so glad to see you today. I really, really am. Today is the first day that we haven't had any rain, and it's it's not anything compared to what Jamaica got. And bless them all, you guys. Bless them and their animals. Like Vanessa said, she asked for prayers for them. She's been asking for prayers even before it got to them, and it's just awful, you guys. The last time we were here, we spoke about missing Melody, and there is a small update that I would like to share with you guys first. And they're making moves, and I don't know why it took them this long to do this, actually. And I'm glad that they did it now. Make it bigger. And it said, so this was yesterday, and it says detectives serve additional search warrants and ongoing search for Melody Buzzard. Sheriff's detectives are sharing an update on their investigation into missing at-risk 9-year-old Melody Buzzard. On Thursday, so yesterday, sheriff's detectives along with the FBI served follow-up search warrants at the home of Ashley and Melody Buzzard in the 500 block of Mars Avenue, as well as a storage locker and the rental car that Melody was last seen in. So the neighbors that are keeping apprised of everything on scene, they said that the FBI and other detectives were there, and they took out a black storage bag, and I couldn't understand what they were saying about the wall. But surely, you guys, they're just not now getting that rental car after this long. They've known about that rental car for a while, and how many people's rented it since then? You know, I hope that they just didn't get that yesterday. But it says in anticipation of the need for access to the residence during the search for an extended time, detectives escorted Ashley to an alternate location that would not interfere with their ability to conduct a thorough search. This case remains a missing person investigation. There have been no arrests made in this case. We appreciate the FBI's assistance in today's searches, said Sheriff's Lieutenant Chris Gottschall from the Criminal Investigation Division. He added, in cases like this, every detail matters, and it is invaluable to have additional resources and specialized expertise. Collaboration with our federal partners allows us to ensure we're using every available tool to help bring resolution to this case. So, you guys remember in the Quentin Simon case they were when they were doing searches at their house. Remember, they took Leilani and Danny to that hotel, and you guys remember that they got a lot of evidence when the two were in that hotel together. So if you guys remember that, hopefully they're doing the same thing in that instance. You guys catch what I'm saying? So hopefully we'll hear something else soon. And you guys keep an eye on my community post, because I'll definitely put it there first. And then hopefully she'll be one of our good cases soon that we talk about. But today we're here to talk about, I'm going to tell you guys about, today we're going to talk about Victoria Colbash and all that she has gone through in these past 2 years. Oklahoma totally failed her every which way, and she's not the first victim of the perpetrator in this case that Oklahoma has failed. And let me come back and make it bigger for you guys. So this is Victoria, and she, from what I can see, she has her associate's degree, and she was a secretary for a while, and she also has this cutest resale boutique, and I'm not sure if she still has that or not, but it's antiques and then also like boho chic stuff, and I thought that was really cool. Hey Keith, good to see you. Keith, you're always the cheerleader in every chat I see you in. You're the bestest. We're good. How about you? How about you? And I think she has 2 sons as well, but she specifically talks about her 2 daughters and her 8 granddaughters and how she would not want them to be failed like she was failed. So in the summer of 2021, she was on a dating app and she met this fella, Richard Phillips. And he told her that he was a retired military man and he was a Purple Heart recipient. And shocker, she finds out that's not true later on, but she says that he has a beautiful family too, and she fell in love with them, and so they started hanging out and dating and stuff. And but let me tell you guys this. Well, after about a year of dating, they get married. But remember, I told you guys that they met in the summer of 2021? Well, let me tell you what Richard also has going on in the summer of 2021. He was charged with violating a protective order and it was dismissed. He was charged with domestic assault and battery by strangulation and it was dismissed. And a previous wife filed a protection order against him in 2021. And this is what she wrote. Richard has continued to stalk and harass me. He's threatened me with my life. I have no problem taking a lie detector test so long as I'm alive to do so. How sad is that, you guys? Bless her heart. That sentence just broke my heart. Keith, Oh man, bless your heart. My stepdad had to have his shoulder worked on, and he stayed with us for a while, and so I know how hard that is. Bless your heart. Yeah, like Vanessa says, we hope you heal very, very quickly. Well, he's got the stay positive stuff down, Van. He's definitely got that. I'm always glad to see Keith because even if you're having a kind of bad day, he'll always bring you up. Absolutely. Um, I know, Van, when they look normal and nice, and we're going to talk about something at the end too. If they would have had this, um, it's a domestic violence registry that Tennessee. I'll show you guys. It's going to be active in Tennessee. They already passed the law and everything, and it starts in January 2026. But if they would have had this in Oklahoma in 2021, Richard would have been on there, and it might have saved Victoria. You know. Um, so after about a year of dating, they get married, and she says everything is going good at first until the white lies start coming, and it's mostly financial lies at first. And this is some more pictures of them. Just a normal couple, you know. And I found this picture too. And but I'll go ahead and play the first video. I wasn't able to find a whole lot about this case besides Fox 23 did an absolutely wonderful job in their Investigate series, and so that's what I'll be showing mostly, and I left their links in my description so you guys can watch it later too. So I'll go ahead and play the first one, and she tells more.
To a Fox 23 investigation about a woman terrified her ex-husband was going to kill her, and police think he almost did.
Tulsa's investigative reporter Janet Clark talked to her. She wants women to protect themselves and be aware of some early signs she says she missed.
Here's part one of Jana's investigation, running for her life.
In the summer of 2021, Victoria Colbash was looking for love on a dating app.
He treated me like a queen.
When Victoria swiped right, there he was, the retired Navy chief and divorced dad of two, Richard Phillips. When you first met him, what did you think about him?
I thought I finally had it right. He was a retired Navy chief, was in the military for 23 years, has beautiful children, beautiful family, fell in love with all of them.
You thought you found a good one.
I thought I found the right one.
When Victoria thinks about it now, she can't believe this is her story to tell.
It is so twisted and complex. It's just, I've never in my life been in a situation like this.
After a year of dating, Victoria married Richard. When did you?
And it doesn't start all at once, you guys. If you don't know the signs and what to look for, I've heard it described as like a boiling pot, and the heat starts real slow, you know, so you'll stay in it. But because if it started boiling at first, you'd jump out, right? So it starts really, really slow and then builds up. So if you don't know what to look for, then you're not going to recognize it at first, possibly.
You know something was not right.
Shortly after we got married, lies were coming. I was catching small lies, mostly financial lies.
When did things get really bad?
In May of last summer, I found the what I suspected to be true in the financial aspect of his lies. And I had told him that if I find out these things were true, it's over. I can't live with a liar.
They were living on a houseboat on Lake Eufaula. When Victoria told him she was leaving, she says he wouldn't let her.
I did try to leave. He got physical with me and brought me back to the boat.
He physically grabbed you?
Yes.
Had he ever been violent or anything like that during your relationship?
No. So he took my phone, my keys, my money, everything.
By taking all your things, you think he was trying to control you?
Absolutely. I finally got away the next day by grabbing my laptop while he was taking a shower and running down to a dockmate and messaging some friends.
That was July of 2023. Victoria made it to
So when she found out about the lies and confronted him, she tried to leave the boat. They were living on a houseboat, and he physically brought her back and took her phone. And I read in another article that she was able to use her laptop to send for help too. But she also, so that was good that she was able to get away while he was in the shower.
Norman and stayed with a friend.
At that point, I was scared.
A month later, the court agreed for Victoria, along with a friend, to meet Richard at a storage unit so she could get her things.
Richard showed up, spun gravel all over us, came in acting like a maniac, cussing.
Victoria says that's when Richard picked up a shotgun.
He picks up one of the guns and he starts racking it. And then he leans over where the ammunition is.
When he was getting the gun, what were you thinking?
He's going to hurt me. He's going to hurt us.
Victoria says she and her friend took off, but Richard followed them in his truck.
When I went to get my car, my tires were slashed.
She called police and made a report. It took 3 months, but by November, there was a warrant out for Richard's arrest. Pittsburgh County charged him with domestic violence, an assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, for throwing gravel on Victoria with force.
Yeah, guys. So they charged him with domestic violence and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, and the warrant was issued on 11/28 of 23. However, he was never arrested for this.
And for pumping a shotgun and reaching for ammunition with force and violence. But Richard was never arrested. By December 2023, Victoria says Richard made a heartfelt plea to get Victoria back in his life.
He's in therapy. He's doing so much.
This is a mistake, you guys, and Victoria will tell you later that this was a huge mistake. If they do it once, you guys, they will absolutely do it again. And I have resource links in my description, but I'm also going to put it here. So please, please, please reach out. And if you go to this website in the top corner, there is a quick exit button. So in case that you're doing this in the few minutes you have alone to yourself, if you need to exit quickly, it'll take you back to a search site. So please, please, please reach out. And also, we have to think about the other side too. If you feel that you could possibly hurt your significant other one, there is a place to go here that will help you with that. So please think about that too. But she'll tell you herself that this was a huge mistake, letting him back into her life.
Better, he misses me, blah, 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 blah. So I just told him I would move back to Eufaula in my own place, and we can do marriage counseling if he'd continue his therapy and go to church.
Victoria says she soon found out he was lying to her again.
He had hacked all my social media accounts and my email accounts.
Victoria says Richard started using her accounts, pretending to be her.
He was contacting family and friends, saying and portraying me to be me and saying horrible things and causing great conflict in my life.
And knowing he was saying all these awful things to your friends and family about you, how did that make you feel?
Oh, he had already beaten me down the last 18 months. I'd already felt helpless, hopeless, worthless, really.
Then Victoria drew a line in the sand. On January 26th, she told Richard it was over. A few weeks later, he showed up at her door and said he wanted to return the rest of her things.
He closed the door behind him and he said, for the next 5 hours, you're going to be my wife. And he locked the door. And I tried to go push past him. And I told him, I said, no, that's not going to happen. And I tried to get.
I'm not sure if it's this video or another video, but she talks about how he threw her on the love seat. And, guys, this is, this whole live is trigger warning, but especially about this next part that he threw her on the love seat and held a gun to the back of her head. So he wasn't arrested for the charges in November at the storage unit, right? He still has those. He wasn't arrested for those. And then now he comes and does this to her a few months later. It took months for those charges to even come from the storage center. And then he's not arrested on those and then comes and does this to her too.
Out the front door, and he threw me into the love seat, put a gun to the back of my head, and told me that I would do what he said, or he would blow his head off. And for the next 5 hours, he sat there and berated me and belittled me and told me what an awful person I was.
Victoria says after hours of terrorizing her, Richard eventually left.
And he told me not to call the cops because he had lived a good life and he's going to go to the boat and kill himself.
Victoria locked the door and called police. The Eufaula Police Department put out this announcement to look out for Richard. They believed he was armed and dangerous. Police searched all over, especially around the Lake Eufaula Marina.
His truck was there and they knew he was there.
But for 5 days, police could not find Richard.
They searched all the boats everywhere.
Was it during that time that we had it on Fox 23 News?
Yes.
In a Fox 23 crime alert, the Eufaula Police Department is warning the public to be on the lookout for a man they believe is armed and dangerous. This is 58-year-old Richard Phillips. Eufaula police say they have an open, of all things, domestic violence investigation on him.
Would police find Richard before he came back for Victoria? Coming up Thursday, Victoria runs for her life.
I fled.
So that was the first part of it, you guys. During this time, she finds that he had taken out a life insurance policy on her too, that she knew nothing about. She finds the paperwork for this and she takes it to get a protection order. And remember this, because that is going to come back into play in a previous relationship that I'm going to tell you guys about after we hear more from Victoria. Keith says, yikes, that's messed up. She didn't deserve that. She absolutely didn't, Keith. Nobody deserves that. Male nor female. Absolutely nobody deserves that. So besides the Fox 23 that investigates there, I haven't been able to find a whole lot, but I did find where the Eufaula PD, so after he did that to her in her apartment, this is where they put out the lookout. And remember, he's also did these charges, but he's in trouble from what he did at the storage unit. And I don't think they made a post, but they made one this time, and it says, the Eufaula Police Department is on the lookout for Richard Allen Phillips. The Eufaula Police Department has an open and ongoing domestic violence investigation on Richard. Richard also has an active felony warrant out of Pittsburgh County, Oklahoma. The Eufaula Police Department is advising the public to not contact Richard, but to reach out to law enforcement. Richard is believed to be armed and dangerous. The Eufaula Police Department wants to reaffirm that all suspects have the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Hey, Grateful, how are you? I'm so glad to see you. So then a few days later, he was caught, and it says the Eufaula Police Department now has Richard Allen Phillips in custody. Richard Phillips is being held at the McIntosh County Jail. The Eufaula Police Department wants to thank the community for all of your help. So we see his mugshot here, right? So in, I didn't make it bigger, did I? Sorry, guys. So we see his mugshot here. Well, in part 2, look, Victoria is arrested by that same police department. And this, oh my gosh, you guys, if you weren't mad before, this is going to make you really, really, really mad. Now, she's arrested. So let me find part 2. I think this is it. and her arrest puts her in even more danger.
Scared her ex-husband would find her and kill her.
We brought you part one of this story on Tuesday. Richard Allen Phillips was on the run and police were looking for him.
Now, the second part of Fox 23 Janet Clark's investigation, running for her life.
Police searched the Lake Eufaula Marina for 5 days back in February. They were looking for Richard Allen Phillips. His ex-wife Victoria says he held her captive for hours in her apartment. She thought he was going to kill her.
He threw me into the love seat, put a gun to the back of my head.
Richard eventually left her apartment and hid from police. We ran a story on Fox 23 News.
In a Fox 23 crime alert, the Eufaula Police Department is warning the public to be on the lookout for a man they believe is armed and dangerous. This is 58-year-old Richard Phillips. Eufaula police say they have an open, of all things, domestic violence investigation on him.
That was in February. Victoria says once she knew Richard was behind bars, she called the manager at the marina at Lake Eufaula. Victoria and Richard had lived together in a houseboat here.
I asked the marina manager if I could go and collect my belongings, and he said absolutely.
Once Richard found
I missed you guys at first. Hey, Aries, it's good to see you. Happy Halloween. How are you? And wait, what? I'm so glad to see you too. It's been way too long. We love you too. Absolutely. Absolutely. So she just said while they caught him in those few days, remember I showed you guys the Eufaula their post on Facebook. So when he was in jail at this time, she asked the marina manager if she could go in and get her things, and he allowed her to, of course. Well, when Richard finds out about this, he has her arrested, and the police said that even though she had permission, she should have asked the police and got an escort. So she's arrested, and when she's arrested, they put her new address online, you guys, where she moves to Missouri, Rosebud, Missouri, and to get away, and they put her new address online. They have failed her in so many ways. It's absolutely unacceptable, and I hope they have learned a huge lesson and do not do this again. And her charges, those charges get dropped after, I think she has to go to court like 4 times and they finally get dropped. It's from a felony to a misdemeanor, I think. But I just can't believe that they would put someone who has a protection order against their ex, that they would put their new address online. Like, who thinks they would do such?
found out she'd been to the houseboat, he pressed charges against Victoria for burglary.
So then I'm arrested a week later.
But this is after you'd asked permission to go get your stuff, right?
Yes, they said it was not the manager's right to tell me that I should have had police escort or court ordered to enter it.
McIntosh County charged Victoria with felony burglary. Did those charges stick?
After about 4 trips to court, they have reduced it from a felony down to a misdemeanor.
Richard sat in court for a month and bonded out. So Victoria fled from Oklahoma to Missouri, but it didn't take long for Richard to find her.
He wasn't out a week, and I knew he already found me here in Missouri. I fled to Missouri. And do you know how he found me in Missouri?
And you guys, when he was released on bond, he had an ankle monitor. And you know that those ankle monitors tell where you are every second of every day. So I think that she's going to tell us here too that she thinks that he's stalked her in Missouri, and she's pleading with them to look at his GPS monitor and see, because I'm sure also part of his release was that he couldn't be anywhere around her, but they don't do that either. So how many times has Oklahoma failed her? I've lost count by now.
Because those burglary charges posted my new address online.
By now, it was March, and this is why Victoria thought Richard had found her in Rosebud, Missouri.
I went outside to go to the store. One of my tires was flat.
She called the police, but they didn't find Richard. A month later, Victoria's landlord told her a man called acting like he wanted to rent a room and asked some strange questions.
Asking questions like, well, I'm allergic to dogs and cats. Is there anybody else there with dogs and cats?
Victoria knew it was Richard, so she called police again. And this time,
I went outside to walk my dog. And the officer comes back and he says, get back in the house. He's in town.
Richard not only was in town, it appeared he had been stalking Victoria.
When they finally found him, he was across the street from where I walk my dog with a sawed-off shotgun, one in the chamber. It was a new one that he just sawed off recently, and a box of ammunition in the front seat. And he was drunk.
Rosebud police arrested Richard. They posted this press release about it. The county DA filed charges against him for stalking, violating the protective order, and unlawful possession of an illegal weapon. This time, they held him on a $100,000 bond. What do you think he was intending to do?
I have no.
Let me read you guys this press release. I was able to find it, and it says, on April 27th, 2024, the Rosebud Police Department received a report of an order of protection violation. While investigating the report of an order of protection violation, the victim petitioner provided the officer with information related to recent order of protection violations on behalf of her ex-husband. It should be noted the ex-husband is the respondent in an order of protection from McIntosh County, Oklahoma, with the victim listed as the petitioner protected party. After speaking with the victim, the Rosebud officer returned to patrol. During his patrol, a short time later, the officer observed a vehicle matching the description of the husband's vehicle parked within a short distance of the victim's residence. The officer further observed and identified the driver as the ex-husband. A further registration check of the vehicle revealed the vehicle as being registered to the ex-husband. The Rosebud officer, with the assistance of a Gasconade County, I usually look up how to say stuff before I begin. I had to look up, remember last week we were talking about Mr. Wesley who was missing? I had to look up how to say Umatilla, but I forgot to look up that county. But it says conducted a traffic stop on the vehicle as it relates to the order of protection violation. During a subsequent search of the vehicle, a quote, sawed-off, unquote, short-barreled shotgun was located with one round in the chamber. As a result of the initial investigation, the ex-husband, identified as Richard A. Phillips of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, was placed under arrest for order of protection violation and unlawful possession of an illegal weapon. Phillips was transported to the Osage County Detention Facility and was placed on 24-hour hold pending a warrant application. On April 28, 2024, a warrant was issued for Phillips, age 58, of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. He is charged with unlawful possession of an illegal weapon, and I think I have the part 2 here to it. Violation of an order of protection for an adult, first offense. Phillips' bond was set at $100,000 cash only in the circuit court. Notably, Phillips currently out on bond from McIntosh County, Oklahoma, for kidnapping and feloniously pointing a firearm involving the same victim. Phillips is still incarcerated at the Osage County Detention Facility at the time of this release. This investigation remains ongoing. All subjects are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So I wanted to show you guys that. They were talking about the press release, so I wanted to show you that, but now I'll go back to this video.
I have no doubt he was going to kill me. He'd already told me that he had saved $7,000 and he was going to the Philippines.
You think he was going to kill you and then go to the Philippines to try to hide?
Yes.
Richard's been in the Missouri jail ever since and has yet to be extradited back to Oklahoma to face charges here. Victoria says she has serious issues with the system. Why did you want to talk to me?
Because Oklahoma failed me. I don't think I would be alive if I stayed in Oklahoma.
Victoria says Oklahoma courts shouldn't have let Richard bond out of jail. And she says no one arrested Richard when they should have.
They did nothing. Nothing. Warrant out on his arrest in Pittsburgh County. They knew where he was for 6 months. They never went to get him.
And she says when she was charged with burglary and Oklahoma courts posted her Missouri address online, they put her in danger.
Now there's 2 counties knowing he has abused me and he's trying to harm me. And they post my address online. That should not be allowed. But Oklahoma also, our court systems need to protect us better. I don't think Oklahoma took me as serious as they should have. But once he was caught in Missouri, and I had to go back to court in Oklahoma, the prosecutor finally admitted we need to keep him in jail. He's dangerous. He's not going to leave her alone.
What do you hope happens?
As a human being and what he's done to me, I could care less where he is, as long as he's behind bars, so he doesn't hurt anybody else.
Even if he's behind bars, you're still scared of him.
Yes. Yes, he's a very tricky man.
So then you must be really terrified of the idea of him getting out.
Absolutely. He'll find me. I have no doubt.
And what do you think he would do if he found you?
The next story you'd be doing is a report on how he got me and killed me.
Are you speaking on behalf of other women who might?
Bless her heart, you guys. And well, remember I told you that she's not the only one. When he met her, he had active orders against him. And remember his ex-wife said that she would take a lie detector test proving everything she said is the truth as long as she's alive to do it. So this is 2 women now saying these things about him, that they were scared for their life. And wait until I show you guys, there's another woman we're going to talk about that he was with from around 2014 to 2018, I believe. She absolutely deserves justice, Keith. Absolutely. Keith says, wait, what? She didn't even do anything wrong. She had a protection order against him. The fact she got arrested, the Oklahoma system failed her big time. They really, really, really did. They absolutely did. Countless times.
Might be in danger.
Absolutely. And that's why I reached out initially. I mean, I've had some bad dates. I've had some bad relationships. But nothing to this magnitude. I've never been manhandled, abused, talked to, treated the way he did.
Victoria has this warning for other women.
Just be cautious when you're out there dating. Look for the red flags. And don't go back. Don't ever go back. That was my mistake.
Covering news that matters. Jana Clark, Fox 23 News.
Okay, hang on just 1 second, guys. Now I believe I have part 3 that we're going to watch next. And then there's 2 more parts after this. You guys won't, wait until you hear, I'm not sure if it's this one or the next one, what he received for what he did in Missouri, his punishment he received. A lot of things in this case has been unbelievable, but this is absolutely unbelievable and unacceptable, in my opinion.
Starts right now.
Thanks for joining us here at 5:30. I'm Rick Marinon.
And I'm Shay Rozzi. Nathan has the night off. A woman thought she finally found the love of her life after dating for a year. They got married.
Didn't take long for her to become afraid of him, however, and she thought her husband was actually going to kill her. Police think he almost did. It's a story we first told you about last year when Richard Phillips was on the run.
Tulsa's investigative reporter Jana Clark talked to his now ex-wife who just faced him in court. She's worried about other women in Oklahoma too. Here's Jana's follow-up Fox 23 investigation.
For more than 2 years, Victoria Kolbash has been running for her life, afraid of this man, Richard Allen Phillips, her ex-husband.
I fear him, definitely. I also fear if he gets out, he'll find me. I have no doubt he'll find me.
Richard's in jail for kidnapping her last year. Victoria told me she thought he was going to kill her.
I'm scared to trust anybody.
Victoria says at first, Richard charmed her, told her he was retired from the Navy and had earned a Purple Heart. She thought he was a real catch until after they got married in 2022.
I also now have learned when you deal with a narcissist, they reel you in. You know, they treat you really good in the beginning, and you know, they do everything right. He's really good at conniving people.
I think that most victims of domestic violence, they would say that they're so charming at the beginning. So if nothing else, you guys be weary if it seems too good to be true, because in most cases, unfortunately, it is. It's not true.
People and convincing people.
Victoria says she quickly learned Richard was lying to her and became controlling. Within a year of being married, she had had enough and told him she wanted to leave. Richard wouldn't let her leave their houseboat on Lake Eufaula. She finally escaped. Soon after, she found a life insurance policy Richard took out in her name. Did you know he had taken one out on you?
No, absolutely not.
How did that make you feel?
Scared, very scared.
It prompted Victoria to ask the court for this protective order.
When I went in for the protective order, I took that paper with me. You know, I said, look, he's not only trying to hurt me, he's got a life insurance policy, you know.
The protective order didn't stop Richard. He kidnapped her a second time. Did you fear for your life?
Oh, absolutely. He put a gun to the back of my head.
Eventually, Richard took off and told Victoria not to call police, but she called 911. The Eufaula Police Department put out this announcement to look out for Richard. They believed he was armed and dangerous. Police searched all over, especially around the Lake Eufaula Marina. It took 5 days for police to find and arrest Richard. He sat in jail for a month before he bonded out. Victoria.
And remember, guys, during that time that he was in jail, that's when she asked the manager first if she could go collect her belongings on the houseboat. He said yes, and then Richard found out about it and charged her, and she went to jail during that time. So she went to jail, and they posted her address online.
Took off to Rosebud, Missouri for safety, but it didn't take long for Richard to find her.
Richard had been to Missouri 3 times and stayed in a motel, ate across the street in a restaurant from where I lived. He's very bold.
After getting tipped off, Richard was.
I have to remind you guys, those 3 times that he went to Rosebud, his ankle monitor would have said that. So and the people that monitor those, they, I'm sure they were informed when she called and when her tires were slashed and things like that. I have no earthly idea why his ankle monitor wasn't checked before all of this. And it would have told on him right there.
In the area, Victoria called police. They found him across the street, drunk, with a sawed-off shotgun and a box of ammunition.
I truly feel he had planned on killing me in Missouri and fleeing the country.
Rosebud police arrested Richard and posted this press release about it. The county DA filed charges against him for stalking, violating the protective order, and unlawful possession of an illegal weapon. This time, they held Richard on a $100,000 bond. When Richard had to face a judge, he also had to face Victoria in court. What was that like for you going into the courtroom and seeing him again and speaking in front of him?
It was very nerve-wracking. I had a hard time the first couple minutes of talking, just my nervousness.
Richard pleaded guilty to the charges in Missouri.
I was allowed to do a victim impact statement. However, I was not allowed to bring up anything about Oklahoma, even though he jumped bond in Oklahoma with an ankle monitor to find me in Missouri. They would not allow me to bring any of that up.
So all of the things that happened in Oklahoma that led up to what happened in Missouri, you weren't allowed to talk about in Missouri.
Exactly.
And how did that make you feel?
I was pretty discouraged because they allowed him to speak, and he lied about a lot of things. He played the veteran card that, he was a military veteran and that he served our country and got a Purple Heart, which was not true. He just never received a Purple Heart. So it was discouraging. He got to speak all his lies, and I wasn't allowed to say anything, basically.
You couldn't refute it.
Nope.
The judge sentenced Richard to a year in jail with credit for time already served.
You hear that, you guys? He got 1 year in jail for stalking her like he did in Missouri. Just 1 year, and with time served. And he got 5 years of probation. But he was sent back to Oklahoma, and we'll see that part next, where he gets sent back to Oklahoma to stand, against those charges, the original charges, where he kidnapped her from her apartment and threw her on the love seat and put a gun to her head. So he was transported back to Oklahoma. And from what I can find, it was the first part of September, when I think it was the preliminary, where the judge said, yes, there's enough to hold this over for trial. And he was supposed to come back towards the end of September to enter his plea, but I can't find anything about that. So I'm not sure if it was postponed or what, but I'm going to keep looking, definitely.
And 5 years of probation. The judge sent him back to Oklahoma. Here, he faces charges in Pittsburgh County for domestic abuse and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, and in McIntosh County for kidnapping and 2 gun-related charges. When they're looking at the cases in Oklahoma, will they take into account what happened in Missouri?
I would think so, because he jumped bond there to come to Missouri. My understanding, the 2 counties combined, he's facing 60 years.
Last year's Oklahoma Domestic Violence Fatality Review Board put out this report. It says more than 49% of women in Oklahoma will report domestic violence in their lifetimes. 122 women died last year.
So this is just for Oklahoma, but if 49% report domestic violence, how many more don't report it because they're scared? That's something to think about. And I haven't looked it up for my state in Kentucky, but that's something for all of us to think about. And in Oklahoma, right here, it says 122 died in 2024, just 1 year.
At the hands of their abusers.
My whole reason I want to speak out is because Oklahoma failed me terribly. And the thought of one of my children or grandchildren or somebody I love dearly encounters the same thing I have, and Oklahoma fails them too, that's just not acceptable to me.
Victoria says Oklahoma needs to get tougher laws to protect women.
The abusers are getting off with a slap on the hand. Protective orders, they're a joke. It's a piece of paper. I mean, it didn't protect me from him coming there and finding me in Missouri. I reached out to McIntosh County numerous times when I was living in Missouri to tell them, I know Richard's here. He's calling me. He's stalking me. Look at his ankle monitor. Please find out where he is. And they told me, call your local authorities. It just flabbergasts me that all these things can happen and I can call and beg and plead. And I'm just told, see you in court. Don't have an answer. It's wrong. It's just wrong every way you look at it.
Victoria says now she wants to help other women in Oklahoma.
I'm at the point where I don't want to concentrate on Richard anymore and what he has done, because that's done and it's over with and I can't change it. I just have to learn to deal with it. But I can do something and have a voice about how Oklahoma needs to protect their victims.
I can appreciate that, you guys, that she doesn't want to focus on Richard anymore. She wants to go to the root of the problem and what Oklahoma did and how they handle things. So hopefully there won't be another Richard to, allow another Richard to get as far as he did. I can really appreciate that too.
News that matters. Jana Clark, Fox 23 News.
Before I show you guys what I have about when she saw Richard in Oklahoma at that court hearing, I have to tell you about another one of Richard's victims. Let me make it bigger. The only thing, this is Pamela Hall, and I don't really know a whole lot about her either, but I know that her only fault was that she went to school with Richard. They went to school together, they grew up together, they were good friends, and then later in life they got back together. And it was around 2014, I think, and she passed away, well, her daughter said that when they first got together that she thought they were good together. But then when she moved in with them, she saw a lot of red flags that unfortunately her mama was an alcoholic and Richard would use that against her, feed her alcohol and then fight with her so that he could call police and things like that. And this is her and her daughter, Katie. Katie was only 19 when her mama passed away in 2018. And he had a life insurance policy out on Pamela too, and they weren't even married. They dated for about 4 years, but they weren't married. So I'm going to play this video, and it's Katie telling us more about her mama with Richard.
Katie Shepard Walters. You don't know when that.
And like I said, you guys, I have all these videos in my description, but I'm also dropping them too so that you guys can watch them later if you want to.
Switch flips and they can become a killer.
Katie wanted to talk to me after she saw my Fox 23 investigation. For more than 2 years, Victoria Colbash has been running for her life, afraid of this man, Richard Allen Phillips, her ex-husband. She told me all about it in a Zoom call last month.
Yeah, I fear him, definitely. I also fear if he gets out, he'll find me.
Richard's in jail for kidnapping her last year.
I have no doubt he'll come and kill me.
Victoria says at first the Navy veteran charmed her. She thought he was a real catch until after they got married in 2022.
He's really good at conniving people and convincing people.
Victoria says she was afraid of Richard, so she filed a protective order against him. But that didn't stop him. She says he kidnapped her and held her against her will, not once, but twice. Did you fear for your life?
Oh, absolutely. He put a gun to the back of my head.
The Eufaula Police Department put out this announcement to look out for Richard. They believed he was armed and dangerous. Victoria fled out of state to hide, but it didn't take long for Richard to find her in Rosebud, Missouri. Police arrested Richard right across the street from Victoria. He had a sawed-off shotgun and a box of ammunition.
He was very bold. I truly feel he had planned on killing me in Missouri and fleeing the country.
Several years before Richard met Victoria, Katie says he was in a serious relationship with her mom, Pamela Hall. Richard and Pamela weren't married, but they were living together. And for about 6 months, Katie lived with him. She was just a teenager at the time.
When they got together, were you okay with it at first? Yeah, I had this image in my head that he was just a...
I'm only hearing it out of my right earbud, you guys, so if you're having trouble hearing, I think that's the way that they have it set. But Katie blames herself for this, but she was only 19 at this time. It is absolutely not her fault, and I hope that she is taking counseling so that that can help her, because she went through a whole lot, you guys, and she blames herself, especially for the night that her mama passed away. She's gonna tell you about that.
A really good man, hardworking.
How did your mom meet Richard?
They actually grew up together in Liberty Mounds, Oklahoma. They went to school for a very long time, and years had passed. They reconnected, just kind of hit it back off and rekindled some old flame that they had.
The fact that they'd known each other since they were kids, do you think that made her trust him more?
Oh, definitely. And his experience in the Navy, in the military. She always saw him as this amazing man who served his family, his country, but behind closed doors, that just was not the case.
Katie says her mom and Richard were together about 4 years and lived in Bixby.
My mom, she had an alcohol problem, so she struggled to keep down a job or anything like that, and eventually moved in with Richard.
Did she have that problem when she lived with him?
Yes, but he fed into it. It's like he loved the fact that she was an alcoholic. I didn't realize that until I moved in and would see that he would get her drunk and then would purposely start a fight with her so he could call the cops and treat her like she was insane.
I checked with Bixby police to see how many times police came to the house. Documents show police showed up once in 2016 and twice in 2018 for domestic disturbances. The last time was a month before Pamela died.
Once you see that dark side of him, you start to realize that he is a narcissist through and through, textbook. And
that's two people in his past who see his narcissism. I wonder what the statistics say about domestic violence abusers being narcissists. I bet there's a huge link there.
It's terrifying.
What did you see that you saw as potentially red flags?
He had this tendency of constantly flashing around his guns during fights. Like, he would pick an argument, start an argument with my mom, and then he would immediately go for a gun.
Katie says Richard would often threaten her mom with these words: "We can end this right now."
Constantly. That was one of the big things that he would go to in an argument. We can end it right now.
What was that like for you?
It was traumatizing. It felt like this whole image of my mother being this strong, independent woman just shattered like glass.
One night in 2018, when Katie was at work, she got a devastating phone call from Richard.
He was just like, "It's your mom. I found her dead. I found her dead." And
Even if nothing else, what kind of bastard tells a daughter that over the phone? He should have called some of her family members and went down there, took them with him so that she would have support of people that she knew, and then told her in person that way. If nothing else, I would hate him for doing that to her. And bless her, you guys, she's 19, going to work her job for pocket money, and that's the one night she asked him to give her mama her insulin. The only night in this happens.
I just remember dropping the phone, and I just fell to the ground, and I let out this blood-curdling scream.
The medical team told Katie her mom had a heart attack.
It looked like she died of a natural cause, a normal heart attack, but nobody thought it could have been insulin-induced.
Was she diabetic?
Yes.
Katie says she's the one who always gave her mom insulin shots.
You gave her insulin every single day?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Multiple times a day, every day. And I had a very specific chart made with, if her blood sugar is between this range and this range, give her this much.
But because Katie knew she would have to go to work late that night, she says she asked Richard to give Pamela insulin this one time.
I had everything properly set up for him so he knew exactly what to do. I taught him step by step how to measure it out, how to give her the shot.
That night, Katie had one last conversation with her mom.
My mom said that he had just given her the insulin and she was getting ready for bed. Told me she loved me, she was going to make my favorite breakfast in the morning.
She never spoke to her mom again. Katie blames Richard for her mom's death.
What makes you think he killed her?
It was the only night he had to give her insulin, and she...
Yeah, I'm with Katie. I do not think it's a coincidence that it is the only night that he gave her the insulin and that happens. And then, you guys, wait until she tells you what happens the night of the funeral, what this bastard did to her the night of her mama's funeral.
Has a heart attack. He called 911 at least 2 hours before he called me. So they had been there for a substantial amount of time before I was notified.
The National Library of Medicine published this research that shows too much insulin or not enough insulin can increase the risk of heart attacks.
That's one of the first things the doctors told me when they diagnosed her is you have to be careful about how much insulin you're giving her. It can cause a heart attack.
So the night she died, did you go check the insulin?
I walked into the kitchen and I noticed that on the counter where I left the chart, it wasn't there. So that's when I opened up the fridge and noticed it was gone. I said, "Hey, what happened to all this stuff?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, my sister just went in and cleaned everything out so you wouldn't have to worry about it later on."
Katie says she first got suspicious of Richard because of what happened after the funeral.
Later that night, after the funeral, everybody, leaves the house, so it's just me and him, and he kisses me on the mouth, and he tries touching me. And I pushed him.
Who does that? Who does that, you guys? A man that is supposed to be, okay, even if he hadn't raised her for 4 years, like a dad, supposed to look at her like a daughter. He's supposed to be in grief over his long-term girlfriend passing away, and he does that to this child the same night? No.
Anyway, I ran to the bedroom and I just locked myself in for the night. I waited until he was at work the next day and got out of there. I could not stand the thought of even being near him.
Katie was only 19 at the time. Richard was 52. Not long after that, Katie says Richard sent her disturbing texts.
I had never shown anyone the entire conversation like that until you.
Here's their text thread. Richard told Katie he had taken out a life insurance policy on her mom. Richard wrote, "Little do you know, I took out the policy. I bought it and paid for it.
So he took out an insurance policy on Pamela. Shortly afterwards, she ends up deceased. He took out an insurance policy on Victoria, and we're supposed to not think that. I mean, come on. That's definitely not a coincidence either, am I right?
I'm the only beneficiary to it."
I was like, what are you talking about?
Katie says she never knew about any insurance policy, and she's convinced her mom didn't know either.
For him to do that, I knew it was malicious. There's no way on heaven and earth my mother would ever allow him to take life insurance out on her and not make sure at least one of us kids were a beneficiary.
In this text, Katie accused Richard of killing her mom. She wrote, "You took a policy out on her, then she dies." Katie says Richard's texts grew more disturbing. He even brought up her mother's cremated ashes and texted a photo of them. Richard said, "I do have a large portion of her ashes. I have plenty. And 175,000.
What in the absolute F, you guys? Who does that? Who does this? When I saw this, my mind was just blown. Mind blown. Who could do that to a grieving child? This dude has absolute. You guys, if I cursed right now would be the time. Right now would be the time that I would curse up a storm.
$1,000 in the bank.
That's when it all clicked. I was like, oh my God, he took life insurance out. She dies the one night he had to give her insulin. He came on to me the night of the funeral. He never loved my mom. He never cared.
Katie texted, "You did something to my mom. I know you did. You never loved her. You are sick and demented. You killed her, and I know you did."
Did you confront him about it?
As soon as he said he took life insurance out, I said, you killed her. You had to have.
Did he deny it?
No, not once. Instead of telling me, no, I didn't do anything to her, I promise, he insults me. He gets defensive, starts saying anything and everything he can to hurt me.
Richard texted Katie this about her mom. "She told me many times that she was ashamed of you and wished you had never moved in with us."
Richard said a lot of really mean things in those text messages about things like that your mom didn't love you.
And that's not true. My mother loved all of us more than anything.
Did you call the police?
I called Bixby PD's non-emergency line and I left a message asking to speak with someone, and I never heard back.
When did you do that?
The first time he admitted to life insurance. And I was...
Wow. Wow. So they never returned her call. I missed that the first few. I watched this like 2 or 3 times and I missed that they didn't return her call. And she's just a teenager at this time, you guys. She's not going to know how to deal with that kind of stuff. So Oklahoma not only failed Victoria, but they failed Katie and her mama too.
Quiet for so long about it. I let him silence me and keep me quiet because I didn't have the energy.
Do you wish now you had pursued it?
Yeah. I wish I would have just left work and gone up to the police station with everything I had. And maybe, just maybe, some other women could have been protected.
When Katie heard Victoria's story about Richard kidnapping her and Victoria running for her life, Katie called Bixby police again at the end of last year. She asked police to open an investigation into her mom's death. She also called me.
What made you want to talk now?
Seeing Victoria and the pain she went through, and knowing that if I had just stood up and been louder sooner, she could have been prevented all of that.
Bixby police told me they recently opened an investigation. Because Pamela was cremated, there was no autopsy.
Did you consider an autopsy?
No, I wish we would have.
Police say as of now, no.
You shouldn't have to. A young woman, she was in her early 50s, 53, I think. If a 53-year-old woman dies unexpectedly, their family shouldn't have to order an autopsy. It shouldn't be on them whether or not to decide if there's an autopsy. The police should have ordered one automatically. So that's not on her either. But still, they still might have some kind of, they still could find enough evidence, I think. Surely.
Charges will be filed. However, if she or anyone else provides additional evidence in the future, we will review it accordingly and take appropriate action based on our findings. Victoria also thinks Richard had something to do with Pamela's death.
I think it's very likely that Richard had his hand in it. Why would you take out $175,000 policy on your girlfriend, number one?
Richard also took out this life insurance policy on Victoria. Did you know he had taken one out on you?
No, absolutely not. I found the paperwork in the seats of my car.
How did that make you feel?
Scared, very scared. When I went in for the protective order, I took that paper with me. I said, look, he's not only trying to hurt me, he's got a life insurance policy,
Richard has not been charged with any crime in connection to Pamela's death.
Do you think there are more victims?
I do.
I found these charges in his past. In 2021, Richard was charged in Creek County for violating a protective order. That case was dismissed.
These were the charges that I told you guys at the beginning. These were the charges that he had on him when he first met Victoria. So these were in the times of when Pamela was found deceased and he got with Victoria. So he was terrorizing other women, allegedly, even during that time. So it would be easier to find women that he'd been with that he didn't terrorize, and wait till you guys hear. It's so sad. The news anchor here, she asked this woman if she would speak to her, and listen to what she says, you guys.
Same year, Creek County charged him with domestic assault and battery by strangulation. It was also dismissed. In 2021, another previous wife filed a protective order against Richard. She wrote, "Richard has continued to stalk and harass me. He's threatened me with my life. I have no problem with taking a lie detector test, so long as I'm alive to do so."
God only knows how many women could possibly be out there that he's affected.
For what happened to Victoria, Richard pleaded guilty to the charges in Missouri: stalking, violating the protective order, and unlawful possession of an illegal weapon. The Missouri judge sentenced Richard to 1 year in jail with credit for time already served and 5 years of probation. Then he was transferred to jail in Oklahoma. He faces charges in Pittsburgh County for domestic abuse and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, and in McIntosh County for kidnapping and 2 gun-related charges.
What do you think about the fact that Richard's behind bars?
That's where he belongs. I mean, he can't hurt women if he is where he is.
What do you think will happen if he gets out of jail?
I'm mainly worried about Victoria's safety in this. He has made it very clear that he wants her head on a stick, and I just want her to be safe. I want her to not have to look over her shoulder everywhere she goes. I just want him to stay where he belongs, in jail. That's it.
Now Katie, a mom herself, just misses her own mom.
She's not here to guide me through motherhood. I feel like I was robbed of that. This is so hard to deal with. I spend days crying. Sometimes when the sunset is a certain color, it reminds me of how my mom used to say, "Angels painted that for you."
Covering news that matters. Jana Clark, Fox 23 News.
I hope that she can find some kind of peace. If he's facing 60 years in Oklahoma, I hope he gets every single day and no good time, or however that they do it. I do have one more video in this series of when Victoria goes to testify in Oklahoma for those charges, because remember, he only got 1 year, and that's including time served, and 5 years probation for the stalking and everything in Missouri. So they sent him back to Oklahoma to face those charges in early September.
Fearing her ex-husband was going to kill her, we've been following the story of a woman who has been running for her life. Now she's hoping to help other women in our state stay safe.
Tulsa's investigative reporter Jana Clark shows us the woman faced her ex again in court just last week. Here's Jana's follow-up Fox 23 investigation.
When he recently walked into McIntosh County Court, Richard Phillips didn't want us to get video of him. He covered his face. But he couldn't hide from the charges he faces here for kidnapping this woman, Victoria Colbash, plus 2 gun-related charges. Victoria had to face him again in court. She told the judge what happened the day she says Richard came to her apartment, held her against her will, and put a gun to her head.
And then they also brought in the police officer that did the search warrant on his houseboat that recovered the gun that he used to hold me captive.
When Victoria was on the stand, the district attorney showed her something on this piece of paper and asked her about it.
Those were the photos of the gun.
Victoria got emotional on the stand when she talked about what happened.
But it's still nerve-wracking. It's still emotional. Having a gun to the back of your head changes you.
Victoria married Richard, the Navy veteran, in 2022. She thought he was a great guy at first. Victoria says at one point he kidnapped her and she got away. She filed this protective order against Richard, then fled to Missouri. But it didn't take long for him to find her. Rosebud, Missouri police arrested Richard right across the street from Victoria's apartment. He had a sawed-off shotgun and a box of ammunition. In her first interview with me on Zoom in 2024, she told me about the day Richard went to jail in Missouri.
I have no doubt he was going to kill me. He'd already told me that he had saved $7,000 and he was going to the Philippines.
You think he was going to kill you and then go to the Philippines to try to hide?
Yes.
After he heard what Victoria testified on the stand and listened to the evidence, the judge decided he'd heard enough to move toward a trial.
I'm a little disappointed on some of the facts that we're not allowed to bring into the case, but I have full confidence and faith.
I can't remember if she says she was allowed. Surely they should be allowed to prior acts. What he did in Missouri, well, even though that was after what he did, that conviction is still before. So hopefully they're allowed to bring that in. Surely. So this was early September, so I'm going to keep up with it, you guys, about what happens next in that trial.
It'll be taken care of.
Victoria says she's confident she's not Richard's first domestic violence victim.
After you did the first report on me back in October, I've had people reach out to me. Women that he's dated, women that he's been married to, and every one of them has a terror story where he's traumatized them. He's hurt them emotionally, mentally, physically.
Several years ago, one of Richard's former wives filed this protective order. She asked me not to use her name. She wrote this about Richard. Richard has continued to stalk and harass me. He's threatened me with my life. I have no problem with taking a lie detector test, so long as I'm alive to do so. When I asked her if she would do an interview, she wrote, I still have to live in Oklahoma. I might be more willing to be in the spotlight, so to speak, if he hadn't broken my teeth when he punched me in the face.
Bless her heart, you guys. What I'm going to tell you guys next is what Tennessee is doing for a domestic violence registry. It's just like if somebody was on a sex offender registry. So these women, Victoria could have looked up Richard. He would have been on there for what he did to this lady, if not for what he did to Pamela before, Katie's mom, and she could have seen that and not gone out with him, you know? So hopefully other states follow what Tennessee is doing. It takes effect in January of 2026.
He got off scot-free. So that's why she's scared to come forward. The system failed her. And it's just a cycle with this man that needs to stop.
Victoria also heard from Katie Shepard, and so did I.
That was probably one of the most scary things I've ever been through in my life.
Katie lived with her mom, Pamela Hall, and Richard up until 2018 when her mom died. Katie believes Richard may have had something to do with her mom's death. The medics said Pamela died of a heart attack. Pamela was diabetic, and Katie says she died the only night Richard ever gave her insulin. Plus, Katie found out he'd taken an insurance policy out on her mom before she died. Did you confront him about it?
As soon as he said he took life insurance, I said, "You killed her. You had to have. There's no way that you took life insurance out on her shortly before she dies on the only night you give her insulin and you didn't do anything to her." But instead of telling me, "No, I didn't do anything to her, I promise," he insults me. He gets defensive, starts saying anything and everything he can to hurt me.
Bixby police opened an investigation, but say right now there's not enough evidence to file any charges against Richard for Pamela's death.
I just want to do everything I can to make sure he doesn't do this to someone else.
Victoria says she will go to court as many times as she has to.
It's very important to me to make sure he is held accountable and that he doesn't hurt anybody else. It's not just about me anymore. It's about all the women of Oklahoma.
Victoria
I am so glad you guys, unless you've been in that situation, it's hard for everybody to know how much courage it takes to testify feet from your abuser, but she thought about the women, his potential victims in the future, and I'm really proud of her for doing that.
Recently learned that almost half of women in Oklahoma will report domestic violence in their lifetime. In 2024 alone, 122 Oklahoma women died at the hands of their abusers.
I've got 8 beautiful granddaughters, 2 beautiful daughters here. The thought of them having to go through what I've been through, and then the state of Oklahoma failing them and their laws not protecting them, it's not acceptable to me. So I'm going to try to use my horrible experience to impact and make a difference for other women in Oklahoma.
Plus, she wants to keep Richard in jail.
If he gets out, I'm fearful that he will try to find me again. A piece of paper or a judgment saying don't talk to her, don't go near her, doesn't stop him. I'm the first woman out of all the women that have gotten any kind of justice, so I'm sure he's not happy with me. So yeah, I'm fearful if he gets out. I'm afraid I'll have to be on the run the rest of my life.
In McIntosh County, covering news that matters.
That's all I have about Victoria's case, you guys. Like I said, he was supposed to go for a plea on September 16th or the 18th, I believe, but I couldn't find what happened that day. But I'm still going to keep up with it. I really wanted to share her case with you guys for the last day of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But I do want to show you what Tennessee, the bill that they passed that's going to go into effect on January of next year. And this is because it's named Savannah's Law, and it's named after Savannah Puckett. She was a 22-year-old. She'd only been on the Robertson County. She'd only been a deputy for a year, and she was trying to break it off with this man, and he came to her home, shot her 8 times, and killed her dog, you guys. And he is in jail with no chance, life without parole, I believe. And she was absolutely beautiful. She was just starting her life, just 22 years old. It says Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed a bill on Tuesday to create a registry of, quote, persistent domestic violence offenders, unquote, within the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to be available for public inquiry on the internet, similar to the state sex offender registry already in use. The bill filed in the Tennessee General Assembly is known as Savannah's Law, named after 22-year-old Robertson County Sheriff's Office Deputy Savannah Puckett, who was shot inside her Springfield home in January 2022 by a man with a known history of domestic assault. So if she would have been able to look at that before, she could have chosen whether she wanted to date this guy or not. It says the man also suffocated Puckett's dog before setting her home on fire. Savannah's law requires the Domestic Violence Offender Registry to consist of the offender's name, date of birth, conviction date, county or counties of convictions, and a current photograph of the offender. A person convicted of a domestic abuse offense with at least one prior conviction for a similar offense is classified as a persistent domestic violence offender and must register as one. In addition, offenders must pay a $150 registration fee, $50 which is retained by the court for administration, and $100 which goes to fund family violence prevention and intervention services through state grants. Under Savannah's law, the time of an offender remains on the public registry depends on how many prior convictions they have for offenses against domestic abuse victims. If the offender has one prior conviction, they will be eligible for removal from the registry 5 years after their most recent conviction. If they have two prior convictions, they must remain on the registry for 7 years after their most recent offense. Those with 3 prior convictions will be listed for 10 years, and individuals with 4 or more prior convictions must remain on the registry for 20 years after their latest conviction. The Robertson County Sheriff's Office said Puckett's legacy lives on in protecting domestic violence victims for the state of Tennessee through the governor's approval of Savannah's law. The law takes effect January 1st, 2026. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I just found that this morning, but I wanted to we need to look at our own states, you guys. We need to look at our own states and see if it has a law like this. And from what I could find, that's the only one, though, really, that has a real registry like that. And then also, if our state doesn't have it, I don't know how we do it, you guys, but we try to get our states to have it, and then hopefully it's a federal law, because I'm sure that the SO registry, I'm sure that's a federal thing. And so they could make the DV registry federal too, you know? They do, Carl. He says, heck, they keep track of habitual traffic violations. Yes. Keith says it's good that she's helping others so that they won't have to go through what she went through. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's awful when we have to go through bad things ourselves, but if there's any way that we can help others with our stories, it's definitely worth it. Before we go today, you guys, I'm gonna drop Chroma Chronicles channel in the chat, and she made a beautiful video of Sebastian Rogers that I wanted to share with you guys. Remember I told you guys about it last week, but I hadn't asked her if I could share it yet, and she said that that I could, so I wanted to share it with you guys. If you don't know, Sebastian Rogers, he was 15 when he went missing last year, from the night of the February 25th into the 26th, and he hasn't been seen since. And his story was one that I shared in one of my very first few live streams, and I spoke on his case the first week he went missing. And since then, you guys, it has just been, it's not about Sebastian anymore. And I don't speak on cases unless I think that there's some way that I can help. And with his case, I felt like that I couldn't help anymore, so I quit speaking on it. But I wanted to share this beautiful video that she made with you guys.
"16 years, a shining light, Sebastian's laughter filled the night. From Hendersonville, his story is known, a boy with a heart that felt like home. His smile could chase the clouds away, he made the darkest moments fade, touched so many near and far, left his mark on every heart. Bring Sebastian home, let the world see the love that awaits the family. He's more than a face on a missing sign, he's a son, a friend, a hope in our minds. Bring Sebastian home, don't let go, he's loved Sebastian home, let the world see the love that awaits the family. He's more than a face on a missing sign. He's a son, a friend, a hope in our minds. Bring Sebastian home, don't let go. He's loved by many, let him know. We're searching, praying, holding on until Sebastian's safely home. If you see his smile, don't turn away. Help us bring him back today. Every heart that he has touched is reaching out, missing him so much. Bring Sebastian home, let the world see the love that awaits the family. He's more than a face on a missing sign. He's a son, a friend, a hope in our minds. Bring Sebastian home, don't let go. He's loved by many, let him know. We're searching, praying, holding on until Sebastian's safely home. Sebastian, you're not alone. We'll keep the light on, guiding you home. Loved by many, missed by all. We'll stand together, we won't let you fall.
If that doesn't make you cry, I don't know. Oh my goodness, you guys. I just love that song and I had to share it with you guys. I thought it was really, really beautiful and brings things back to where they need to be. And I left a link to the flyer that she shared there. And I think that's the only place where we need to share things from is from the FBI, or straight from law enforcement. And that's the link to his missing flyer from the FBI. And Karma Chronicles, Sebastian's case is really, really close to her heart, and I'll let her tell you why. But she plays, and you guys, in her chat, it's like the most welcoming chat that I've ever been to. Carl's there, he's a mod there. They're really, really nice, and they know everything about Sebastian's case, everything by heart. And they're trying to, they play past live streams and things, and if you have any questions, they all know the answers too. So that's a great place to go. And then Vanessa dropped her link. I think I'll do it again. And I was telling Kathy, you guys know her, see her around a lot. I was telling her that Van shared this picture with me of the of white turkeys. Remember I was telling you guys about that last week? She shared that on her community tab too, so you guys can go check it out yourselves. And Kathy said that she was already subscribed to Van because she has beautiful pictures. So you guys go check out her channel too. And then Trista too. She stopped in when she can. She works during this time. But if you subscribe to her, you can get her daily devotionals in your on your home screen too, hopefully. Thank you, Van. Thank you so much. I know she'll appreciate that. Okay, I love you guys, and I thank you so very much for coming to hang out with me today on the last day of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about it all year long and try to do what we can, right? So this makes twice that I was here this week, but I'll be there. I'll come back shortly in just a few days, and I love you all, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget to take your vitamins still and say your prayers. Okay.